Uh, we're live, Mr. Wade. You'll be the chairman for tonight, sir, until
Thank
the
you.
regular chairman shows up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Leonard. It's always a
You're,
pleasure to sit in your company and
you're welcome, sir. Thank you, too.
uh, for our viewers and those who support us. Just to let you know that tonight is Monday night, and the chairman for the Monday night program is Gregory Brackett. You know, is running a little late. But the show must go on. So
Amen.
tonight I will hold over until he shows up. And we always have a set pattern that we start our show. And tonight, I want to welcome our viewers and listeners to our Belizean Affairs show number 289.
Amen.
And again, it's always a pleasure to sit in company of Mr. Leonard Brackett.
Pleasure
Uh,
is mine, too, sir.
I will graciously proceed and ask him to lead us in a prayer, and then I will do a reading. Leonard, you want to lead us
Yes,
in a prayer,
yes, sir.
please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Divine loving Father, we come before thy presence once more, asking that thou would continue to bless us, guide us, strengthen us, give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the ability to be able to do good on this program on behalf of our people of Belize, or Belizeans at home and abroad. We pray that thou mayest continue to bless our family members, each and every one of them. Thou knowest them by name and number. Thou knowest our heart, our desires, and even our most secret thoughts, loving Father. We recommend ourselves unto thee. We pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, and that thou mayest bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership as well. We pray that thou mayest bless the rest of humanity. Thou knowest their trials and tribulations. Please have mercy upon those who are in war zones and those who are in earthquake and tornado and floods and firestorms and all manner of pestilence on the face of this earth, loving Father. We pray that thou mayest continue to be merciful unto us all, for we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. I yield
Thank
back,
you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard, for that warm prayer.
You're welcome, sir.
The country and the world do need prayer.
Amen.
And, there's a lot going on in our country. And, you know, we need to turn to God. We are still a godly nation, Leonard, you know.
Amen.
Um, so we must not lose that faith. And I will do a reading from, let's see, John 10 to 20. Again, our viewers and listeners, we are not a church program, and we are not pastors, preachers, but we are human beings, and we know that there is a God, and the only God, and that's the God that we serve. So we give thanks and praise.
Amen.
Um, I'll start reading from John chapter 19. I could say 19, 10 to 20. It reads, let's see, he entered his headquarters again and said to Jesus, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave him no answer. So Pilate said to him, "You will not speak to me? Do you not know that I have authority to release you and authorize, sorry, do you know that I have authority to release you and authority to crucify you? Jesus answered, you should have no authority over me at all unless it had been given from to you from above. Therefore, he who delivers me over to you has the greater sin. From then on, Pilate sought to release him. But the Jews cried out, if you release this man, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a king opposes Caesar. So, when Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out and sat down on the judgment seat at a place called the Stone Pavement, and in Aramaic, Gabata. Now, it was the day of preparation for the Passover. It was about the sixth hour. He said to the Jews, behold your king. They cried out, away with him, away with him, crucify him. Pilate said to them, shall I crucify your king? The chief priests answered, we have no king but Caesar. So he delivered him over to them and to be crucified. So they took Jesus, and he went out, bearing his own cross, to the place called the Palace of a Skull, which in Aramaic is called Golgotha. There they crucified him, and with him two others, one on the right side and Jesus between them. Pilate also wrote an inscription and put it on the cross. It reads, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. Many of the Jews read this inscription, for the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and in it and it was written in Aramaic, in Latin, and in Greek. So the chief priests of the Jews said to Pilate, do not write the King of the Jews, but rather, this man said, I am King of the Jews. Pilate answered, what I have written, I have written. That's my reading for tonight. It's about the crucifixion of Jesus and
Amen.
who turned him over to be crucified and the actions of the Jews. So, um, Leonard, would you like to say something before I proceed?
Um, uh, could you give me like 10, 15 more seconds? I just
Sure,
want to
sure,
hit a
sure.
couple
My
more buttons I was
people,
looking at.
there's a lot going on in the country. Um, lately, well, not lately, for long now, we've been talking about, you know, these accidents and the killings and the state we're living in. Um, it's been some while now that we have been talking about, the ills of the country, and for many years now. And what changes? We talk about the illegal things that past and present government has done and continue to do to the nation, and some public and some not public. Um, we see over the years they bastardized our constitution. Most of them, past and present, has no respect for the rule of law, because in their psychic and their mind, once the people elect them, past and present, they see themselves very, very powerful, and they see themselves answerable to no one. They see themselves as masters. They see themselves as kings and queens. They do no wrong. And in the country of Belize, there's only two sets of laws. Should be one, but it's two sets we have. One for the powerful and the rich and famous and the politicians, and one for the poor and less fortunate. So we have two sets of law. When a poor man or woman commits an offense or a crime or murder, they will be judged with the long law arm of the law, and to the full extent. And if those poor and less fortunate do not or cannot afford legal representation, they're put behind bars and sent to prison. But the rich, the politicians, heads of departments, and the powerful in this country, they have all sets of kinds of privileges. When the poor commits a crime, they are beaten up, dragged into the police station, thrown into the back of a cell, and then first thrown into the back of a police mobile, thrown, not let in, thrown, pick up by the hands and feet, and like you're throwing away a piece of garbage. But when a rich man or a politician commits the same crime, they are being treated like delicacy, like fine china. You have something on there, Leonard?
Yes, sir. Oops.
Have a
Oh,
feedback.
yeah. I was trying to. Okay.
Thank
I
you.
was trying to get it off. I was trying to
Thank
plug
you.
it off.
Thank you, sir.
Trying to make sure
Yes,
my
I'm just
phones are charged.
talking about reality, Leonard, the way things are done, right? And when someone goes to the police station to inquire about a loved one or a friend, they in turn get arrested, right? They in turn get arrested. We see it happen. But when a friend of a politician gets arrested, I mean a stand supporter of the PUP or the UDP, when they are in power, get arrested. Phone calls from all over. Release that man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't hold him another minute in that cell. Release him. And watch them, Leonard. Yes, sir. How quick do you want me to open the padlock? Or how quick you want me to open the door so he could go? Right? You see that scenario played out with Faber? Come back to that. Because if I was on that incident there, because it classifies as an incident, and watch his behavior. Who is he? Is he better than the same man you take and throw him to the, knock him off his bicycle and pick him up and dash him in the mobile? Is he more better than him? Does he bleed a different blood? The right thing, if I was, I'm not saying that that's what I would have done with Faber, you know. He should have been treated like any other arrest. Any other arrest that you do, Mr. Policeman. He is no different and should have been treated no different. The way that should have happened. Why didn't you take a urine sample or blood test? You would have done that with me. You'd have done that with me. Maybe you'd have broke some part of me to produce a blood test. Right? As for me, I see that that was needed, that was necessary, based on his behavior. And to be a public servant, no better, should know better, should have voluntarily. But what he did, there's other side to that story, but I'm just venting what I see. Maybe there's something else that I didn't see or heard. But that's just one thing. All I'm saying is the treatment of these guys, these elected officials, these heads of department, these public servants, the way you treat them and the way you treat the other part of society. Does the law says that? Hell no. The law did not say, the Constitution did not say that if you see the Prime Minister, you should, or if the Prime Minister or any other public officials commits a crime, that you should treat him differently? No. Does not say that. A crime is a crime. No matter who committed that crime, the king, the queen, But all I'm saying is that every individual's interpret the law seems differently. Maybe that's the way the police department now interpret the law, that you treat the politician and your bosses there and all of them, and you high people in society, you treat them different. The rich man and all of them, all the mafias and the criminals and all the evildoers, you treat them differently from the, maybe, right? That's a law that I haven't seen. I yet to see that one. And sadly, when they go to court, they win their case, because they get the best attorney. It doesn't run over somebody, and kill him. Run over, big traffic accident, knock her down, pull her off a bicycle and knock her down. Right? Kill her. Happen. Right? Happen right in this country. Ministers. Drivers of ministers. And what comes out of it? Like I say, because they have the money to let it circulate around the departments, right? So that they would set free. And at the end, pay the victim a couple $1,000s for the loss of their loved ones. You see it happen. So sad. The constant murders in this country, the gang-related murders in A while back, big news, SOEs and so many illegal SOEs passed in Belize City, south side. And the reason why they're passing it because too many gang killings, too many gang related murders. And you hear them come and say, you know what? We know these individuals, the outgoing commissioner of police, they are well known to the police. Publicly, he says that. Well known to the police. Well, that they tell you. Then you hear the minister now come and say, yes. And I even give one amount of them that they know that there is that certain amount that are well known to the police. But what they do, they call them in and they negotiate with them and they keep the system going and, you know, um, so you think that that's the way they should be going about doing, their jobs, right? No, that's not the way. Publicly, if they are well known, what are they keep doing on the streets? Why are they keep being arresting over and over because of well known? Well known, that doesn't mean they arrest that's the first killing they did. No. Some of them, this is a revolving door. Right? So, they are part and parcel of the problem. The authorities, right? Because for me, if you're a well-known criminal, what are you doing on the street? I ask that question based on what they say. And they come around and they say, you know what? The murders in Belize is far less than last year and the year before, and they always playing murders down. Why do that? Why are you doing that? To look good? And then you have grieving families out there, right? That have been grieving for years. And yet you're going to play down murders like that. Oh, yeah, well, it's, the murders are down and the numbers are down and we are doing a good job and we keep doing what we're doing and everything is okay. What kind of a system does that? That's sworn to protect and serve. Protect and serve. Is that a form of protection? For me, it's condoning, right? So, the murders keep going up, on a daily basis in this country, and they downplay it. And what you hear, they are known to police and they are gang members, is the population in this country so big, so much that, they cannot control it, right? First of all, I ask, do they even have the will to want to control it? The will? I don't think so. I listen to the Prime Minister and the way he says that, yeah, well, all the murders and thing and the gang, the gang situation and the gang killing and thing, then leave boy there, then leave black boy there. We are sending the back here for a cool off only 30 days and then the commission come and if they come out and they be able to put them on another 30 days, another 30 days. Huh? What is wrong with that picture? This is reality checking on what's going on in your neighborhood around this country. That's not only in Belize City. So these are everyday occurrence, and we have grieving families, right? Left behind. We see now a new wave, yeah, hijacking and cartels and mafias, big drug business in this country. Big drug business. Small drugs, medium drugs, and big drugs. That's how I classify it. Small drugs. For me, it's a little marijuana. To me, that is smoking. But you have the medium drugs, the pills, and you have the bigger drugs in this country. And for a little while, you never hear about the plane landing. But then it happened. But lately, they hear about it again. Wonder why. Election gone now. And then, you see police department have a change of guard, a new commissioner. I personally have witnessed from Mr. Willoughby, may he rest in peace, all the way down to now. This is not the first commissioner I have witnessed. And none of them had gotten the treatment that this one, the perks, the everything you could think about, handle him with delicacy. None of the others that I know about, because this is not the first commissioner of police for the country of Belize. Not the first one, but this one is the first one that I have seen. And I have been a part of some, right, in the system. But this one, and even had a hard time leaving. Seemed like soldiers, they don't want it. Then they pull on you, clear you, and shoot. And later on, came with his platter. Here, nicely. The man even he post up on some nice picture with a nice office and nice everything there as everything to time. And the latest raise for the CEOs, because he went in as a CEO. And then the CEOs got a nice, hefty raise. Not $6 an hour. Not that. 6,000, I would say. Right? Just
More than that, Mr. Wade. A lot more than 6,000.
I'm just saying, right?
When you add all the extra perks, then we didn't get.
Free driver, free vehicle, free house, free telephone. Oh, you remember that hefty telephone raise too for the CEOs? $600 a month raise.
Mr. Wade, can I explain?
Telephone to smart.
Can I explain a little bit of that? Most people never understand what happened when that thing took place. But normally, there shouldn't be anything wrong for them to get some extra money to pay for a better plan because they need to be on their phone 24/7 apparently, right? So that's all right. But there was no plan in the country at that time for the amount of money that they gave them. So to give them a break, you could maybe interpret the idea that the phone that they were paying for, it was their own and other family members as well. So the other family members were deriving benefits because of those people who got that extra pay, because there was no $600 plan at that time. So definitely that money either was intended to pay towards other family members' phone, and I'm not too sure if that's really what took place. I don't have to say, well, they got the money and nobody know what it got used for, because there was no receipt submitted to the Auditor General for the auditing of the accounts in the government. As a matter of fact, right now, there are no receipts being submitted for the ongoing expenditure that we have without a budget. But I'll come back to that. I just interrupted you for that one little part about the phone, because that tickled me when people were talking about it, and it seemed like nobody never understood what took place. No, I yield back, sir.
Well, these are the things, my people, both at home and abroad and the world, that happens in Little Belize. In Little Belize, these are the package. These are the things that actually happens. For those abroad, This is what is going on in your country as I speak, my Belizean brothers and sisters. And I will say this, that move there, we're talking about the phone, the CEOs, that $600. Who do you think should have profit, or which carrier should have profit off that communication package? Shouldn't
BTL.
it have been Digicel? The people's claim the people have a little share in Digicel. Does the people have any share in Smart?
No.
So all that you said there, Leonard, really truth. But the bottom line is that $600 went to Briseno pocket. Okay? Long and short. And the man Dean Barrow, before he left office, in his last house meeting, stood up and told Briseno on the other side, when they were on opposition, he said, and you, opposition leader, as soon as the UDP get in power, if they win the next election, you will cancel all the package that the government uses in terms of communication to Digicel. You will cancel that and remove all of that to Smart. The man wasn't the prime minister yet, but this prime minister told that one opposition leader that is exactly what he was going to do. How the hell did he know that? And the very same thing that man Dean Barrett said, that other evildoer, the same thing he said, same thing happened. Not even a month, that man sit as the prime minister of Belize. He did the very same thing. And that wasn't an eye-opener for the Belizean people, They gave them another super majority in the House again. So it seems like the Belizean people love these kinds of pain. They love it. And then they go in a little corner and huddle in a little self and cry. Right? But in a little corner, so nobody hearing. That's how Belizeans operate. Afraid to say that it's wrong. They're afraid to say that. A lot of them very afraid. And they also is a part of the problem in this country. Right?
Here on a bit.
So it seems like they love it when the UDP in power, one set of people prosper and the rest hangs on for their life. Some die. They can't hold on. They let go and die. But some hold on. And when the PUP in power, the same thing. The UDP dies. They suffer. They cannot do those nice things and drive those nice vehicles and spend luxurious, live luxurious. They cannot do that. So it's a fight in this country, not for the people and country, no. It's a fight to get a PUP in power where only a few profit. And it's a fight to get UDP in power where only a few crooks profit. That's my observation, my living, and the way I see it. So no one could show me different or prove me wrong. None. But how long will that continue to happen? How long? But that is what is going on right now as I speak. So, sad reality, the Bokut keep getting bigger. And my people, I say this, call Mr. Minister, call them and say, hey, We need a $3, $6 raise, We need it. And the teachers and unions and all of that, they fight a losing battle again. And X, a losing battle again. Right? Same fight you did not too long ago. Same thing. Did you get anywhere? Somehow, no, yes. And the ones they pass UDP unionists. In this country, you have two sets: PUP unionists and UDP unionists. PUP gang and UDP gang in this country called Belize. So that's how I see it. And on that note, so sad, that our people, Leonard, are so docile and so set back and, keep taking their licking, Leonard, keep taking their licking and,
So,
for survival. And it's a constant struggle for the poor. Like they just can't seem to get out of that hole that they're in. And the system just keep them right there, keep them poor and dependent. That's what this two-party system does to the people of this country. Back
uh,
to you,
Mr.
Leonard.
Chairman,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Um, when do you think we will get a budget?
Well, Leonard, quickly, before I yield back to you, I think it's something like 9th of March, they will have a,
No, March gone already. Next year, I mean.
I mean, 9th. What? Sorry about that. Sorry, I scratched that off then.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 9th of May, sorry. 9th of May, sorry about that. I
Yeah,
think that's what
house the house meeting.
yeah, right. So let's see what generates from that, right? So they already passed due already, right, Leonard? They passed due already,
They
right?
was they were supposed to have
So
had one on the 1st of April.
you think these
The
hefty
least they could
raise?
have the least they could have do to have one on the 1st of May.
Let's see, yeah, yeah,
And you know what
true,
1st of April is, right?
yeah,
As compared to 1st of May.
yeah. Literally, yeah. But yes, so they are the bosses, Leonard. Like the man said, he could call election anytime he ready and whenever he sees fit.
Why didn't he read
And
the budget? Why didn't he read the budget anytime just as well? Because he has the
yeah,
privilege and the
that's what he's
opportunity.
doing. That's
No,
what
no,
he's
no. But
doing,
wait,
Leonard.
wait, wait. Let
He's
me go.
reading it anytime, anytime he sees fit.
Yeah, but he could have just as well, Mr. Wade, and my Belizean brothers and sisters at home and abroad. The Prime Minister could have just as well read a budget, whether it was correct or not, and then still go back to the House as they do every month to ask for supplemental to make up the difference of the budget that he read that wasn't correct. You get my point, Mr. Wade?
Yes, I get you.
There
I
was
get
no
you. Yeah,
justification for him to miss
yeah,
the deadline or the date.
yeah. I get you. I get you.
And having missed that date, he went on to miss another month further down.
Mm-hmm. Go
So the
ahead.
least he could have done was read the budget, because from Independence Day till today's date, there has never been a budget that was read in the House that did not require additional supplemental budgetary help or assistance in order to make that budget work. They were always short. And I think one of the previous um, discussion we had on these matters, I pointed that out. From Independence Day, 40 odd years ago, there has never been a budget that stood its test in terms of having been projected as a budget and was held up at the end of that budgetary year as having been successfully implemented and read, and they stayed with the principles of the budgetary constraints. Instead, every month, especially this last administration, every month when they go to the House, one or two or three money bill has to be involved with the process. Now, if you permit me, Mr.
Go
Chairman,
ahead, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to read a little thing here that I had, no? And this was written on February 22nd. So this was long before the budget was due, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes like this. The following comments were made by Leonard Brackett about Belize's average annual national budget. I went on to call the title of this particular little item Belize's average annual national budget approximately. And I stipulated a question. I said, if Belize's average annual national budget would be approximately Belize $3.5 billion, as an example, times 4.5 year term, which is the last term that the government was in power for, then that 3.5 billion multiplied by 4.5 years would amount to $15.75 billion for that particular term. And if $2.3 billion was gotten in loans borrowed, and if $1.2 billion budget supplemental was acquired, and if $1.9 billion were given in grants and gifts and others, then or therefore 15.75 billion, which would have been the 4.5 years regular budget, as well as 2.5 billion plus 1.2 billion plus 1.9 billion, all of that would equal to $21.15 billion during the 4.5 year term. My question is, so where did all the money go? That is to say, I didn't see 21.15 billion dollars being spent in the country over that 4.5 years term. That we should be able to see some results from that. We would like to see the money, or we would like to see what they did with the money. We would like to see what was left. They saved money off of the road constructions. They saved money off of every project they took on and did. Where did the extra money go? Why is it that we couldn't have a budget read on the 1st of April this year? Why couldn't we have that budget read on the 1st of May? Are we to wait until the 1st of June or middle of June before that budget is read? Maybe they might read a budget, they might take shame and read a budget on the 9th, which is the date you was mentioning about earlier, Mr. Wade, when you said that, it might be read on the 9th because they're having a house meeting on the 9th.
Yeah.
But they could have read that same budget that they're going to read right now. If they do it on the 9th, they could have read it on the 1st of May. And they could have read it on the 1st of April on a timely basis. And like I said, after having read a bogus budget like they have done all the other years, they could have gone to the house again to get the supplemental for those budgets. So even when they're acting like scoundrels and scamps, they don't act like a proper scoundrel or a proper scamp. They have so much powers unto themselves with their super majority. And still they can't manipulate and manage the affairs of the country adequately enough. They go on and prepare prepare one retirement package to Mr. Chester, and the pay that he was supposed to be getting according to them as a commissioner was a little higher than what the CEOs they are getting, and because they were going to make him a CEO, and that would have been less salary for him, or he would have been taken a demotion at that point in terms of economics. The CEOs, the head of the CEO group and the cabinet secretary and the financial secretary, they got together and decided, well, you know what? If this police commissioner is going to become one CEO, why should he be paid more than us? So they took a salary raise for themselves and the rest of the CEOs. They pressured the government, the cabinet, into acceding to that reality. So in order to raise one commissioner's salary to become a new CEO in a different department, they had to end up raising the salary of all the other CEOs so that they don't feel bad or don't get vexed. A lot of people don't realize that will take place. All they hear is that the CEO didn't get a big salary raise. Now, I don't mind if the people didn't get a big salary raise. Give away money worth. That's all I'm saying. Not take away money on a bogus pretext and then still don't do our job or still mistreat us. You know? That's my grievance. Not
I
that they take extra money, but that they don't give away service. And when they query them about their behavior, then they still want to turn around and try to pretend like they're so hurted and we do them something wrong just by asking questions. I yield back, Mr.
my
Chairman.
my thing, Leonard, that is that for me, that's not a priority. These people are getting a hefty hell of a lot of money, taxpayers' dollars. Anyway, what is priority? The teachers, the retirees, the nurses, the security forces not only need a pay raise, they need lots of other things. Equipment, they need to
Mm-hmm.
be fed well,
Mm-hmm.
right? They need to be well taken care of. You have our hospitals, Leonard, who is that, I mean, the healthcare system in this country, who need more than a pay raise.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so my thing is that what are these people displaying, right? You have a failing economy. You have a failing security forces in lots of ways, right? That needs attention, right? Hospital that need attention, proper equipment, medicines, right? A lot of things other than giving these people, for me, they are people, because in my personal opinion, we don't need CEOs in this country. We don't need them.
They don't have to be
It's a
so greedy, though.
waste.
They don't have
That
to be so
name
greedy.
CEO is a waste of the taxpayers' money. In my view, if I had the power, that would be stricken off immediately. Right? We don't need that name CEO in this country. Right? As poor as it is, as begging as it is, your other priorities rather than that seems to have been their number one priority. And their last winning, and now in this time they win this election again. See,
Uh, Mr. Mr.
something.
Chairman, can I add a little thought to what you're saying just now?
Okay.
Belize, as a small little country, has more ministers in government or in cabinet than many big countries who have a bigger economy and can afford it. Why is it that we have to spend our money just catering to a few high-powered, you know, friends of the elites or of the politicians, instead of take care of the country and improve and develop the country to a point where we have a bigger and better economy? Where's the export? Where's the assistance for the export? How do we gain foreign exchange? I yield back, sir. Sorry, I didn't want to go on too much. I just wanted to add that little thought now about not
Yeah,
needing that many CEOs and
yeah,
that many ministers.
yeah, yeah. Before then, Leonard, we had permanent secretaries, senior public officers,
We still do.
right?
We still do.
Huh? Why put this extra burden of this name CEOs on the taxpayers? Why do that?
Political
Same thing,
henchmen.
right? You understand?
Political henchmen.
Right. So I sometimes I'm lost for words, to see the things that they put priority, that is on center stage, that is in the news, these things that really make sense to them. The things that make sense to them, right? Kali, when there are other priorities that in dire needs, that's on life support, that the people, not the CEOs, the taxpayers, the people needs, no want or needs, like a CT scan, Leonard,
Some
like a
gauze, some
CT
tape,
scan, a common CT scan.
some cotton, some Tylenol.
Ah, my goodness, a common EKG machine, a common ultrasound machine, a common laboratory that could test, do the blood work that the poor people don't have to go selling whatever to go to an outside entity to get this very same thing that should have been done in the hospital in the first place. I mean, who speaks about these things? Right? And yet they come around and spin 190 degrees and go to the news media and go to the world, and everything is right. Everything is good in this country. There is no problem, and people are living the best life in 43 years. People are living their best life in 43 years.
That's your prime minister's
Words
own words.
from there you go, right? Who believe these guys? Who believe these suckers? Who believe these suckers? They're like leashes. My people, they're like leashes. And the media in this country, Leonard, helps them to promote
Their business.
sour that
Their,
comes out of their mouth.
Mr. Chairman, their business houses. At least that's what they claim.
you know, I am glad that we have this privilege, Leonard, to say these things in real time, and be advocating for the Belizean people, right? Because Leonard, we sees it necessary. I don't know how the other minions they see it, but we here on this program sees it necessary to continue to tell them what they are not doing right. They are not doing right with the taxpayers' money on the country's assets. We are not telling what they're not doing right with their assets, and I could care less what they do with the PUP assets and the UDP assets as per that entity. But as far as the taxpayers' dollars is concerned and the country's assets, the country's assets is my assets and your assets, Leonard, and the people's assets. It's not for, it does not belongs to the PUP, and it sure the hell not belongs to the UDP, right? Belongs to the people. And again, I say, these scoundrels are your employees. They work for you, the taxpayers. It's not the other way around. No, but that's the way they put it. When they're out there, you got to say, Mr. Minister, Mr. Honorable Minister. And when I say jump, you act so high. Who does that? You should tell them jump. Because they are your employees. You go and vote for them. That's how I see it, right? But it's so sad.
Mr. Chairman, what these jackals do is they go and make laws in the House to exempt themselves from paying taxes on the contraband cattle trade and the other things that they do. And therefore, the money that they make, none of it goes to our treasury as compared to the rest of us, everybody who works, some money get taken and put into the Social Security, which they turn around and use again as their piggy bank because they send their friends and relatives to go borrow money from the Social Security and from the DFC. They recommend them to get money to go and do their own business. And they're not paying any taxes. Whenever they do their business, they get duty-free, stamp duty-free, tax-free. Everything that they do is about cheating the system and defrauding the public treasury. Anything that happens economically, they want to be a part of it to gain, but they don't want to give back nothing. They're just takers. I yield back, sir.
You're so right on that, Leonard. So, through our medium, again, we always advocate, for betterment, right? Mr. Prime Minister, pass a budget that will be well to do to the security forces of this country. Pass a budget that will do well to do with the laborers of this country and that will fit the poor and less fortunate. I mean, like for instance, a better healthcare system, Mr. Man, okay? Pass a budget that will help the teachers, that will help the uh, the country in a whole, not that what's going to help a certain entity, right? Pass a budget where the people will profit, right? Pass a budget that all those money that you had back owed, so that you could pay off your retirees, like for instance, the retired BDF and the retired nurses and retired policemen, and the retired public servants that you hadn't paid, Mr. Man, that had retired 2 and 3 years ago, that is still waiting, Mr. Man. And you say, oh yeah, it's some backlog and paperwork. And you remember that scenario that you come with, Mr. Prime Minister? You say, oh, it's not your fault, and it's all, this file didn't go to that next office the right time, and that file is not correct, and this and that, and a whole bunch of crap. Did you do that with the 76 million for Ashcroft? Did you find any excuse?
No.
Hell no. Did you find any excuse for your CEOs? Hell no.
No.
Come on, man. What the hell is wrong with you? Right? Come on. The retirees, they have mortgage to pay. They have their children are going to school. They have medical expenses. They have mortgages. And they have to eat. They need to buy ramen, right? Come on, and you cutting all off that, from them. They owe them. Come on, man, who does that? Who does that? The retirees and the seniors in this country should be treated well.
They paid their dues already.
Of course. I'm not advocating for, myself, right? Don't want it. Not advocating for myself. Although I have served my Leonard, I've served my country, And I went and I asked, I said, I went when I did that thing with your social security, the first one, you gotta go extend it again and get a new one, and then you gotta carry in your birth paper, and you gotta show that you're on Belizean, and you gotta pay them that $28 to give you another social security card. I asked her, I said, my brother, I say, check this number, man. My number was so and so and so and so and so. Man says, Mr. Wade, he said, nothing there for you. No, it was just
Now,
my
imagine
God, right?
how much other people that told that to Mr. Wade. You have any idea? Seriously. No, I mean we're laughing about it because it sounds ridiculous, right? But I mean, you realize how many people probably told that same story.
No, Leonard, when I speak, it's because I know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, right? The crooked system, my brother. Very,
Designer,
very, very crooked,
designer system,
right?
Mr. Wade. It's not by
Corrupted.
commission or oversight.
So
No
what I
accident,
did,
commission
I
or
said, okay,
oversight.
thank you, my brother. Did
Really
I
good.
go and argue and try to find out where the money is and follow the money trail and follow all that shit? No, you could keep that, Mr. Briseño. You could keep that. Whatever 2 cents that I had coming back, you could keep it. But all I'm saying is that, you know, it's so sad, Leonard, to see how they treat, our retirees, right? You know, um, they deny them of a lot of their welfare. They deny them proper medical attention, Leonard, when they're sick, and or get in an accident, or the doctor say, you need so many months rest and thing. They put these people through a medical board, 3, 4 doctor there. They question these people and to see if their hand really broke or their foot really broke, or and they tell you that is what goes on in this country.
But Mr. Wade, we have people in wheelchair,
Yes,
people who are invalid,
we
and
see it publicly.
they're still refusing to get on their stuff and come up with
Yes.
excuses about paperwork. And they tell the people, well, they're supposed to present for them paperwork fully in order. How
Who
the hell
does
them people
that?
never present any kind of paperwork when those people weren't keeping the records? They're the ones that's supposed to be keeping the records.
We see it happen time and time,
Just answer.
Leonard, right?
Just answer.
Time and time again, we see it happen. And to who? The poor people.
Mm-hmm.
People that who had gave their 20 years, Leonard, their 10 years, their 20 years, and 30 years to the country. And these suckers come in and they serve 5 years, Leonard, and they ride off in the sunset. They don't vote for them again, and they ride off with the sunset with a healthy package.
Mm-hmm.
They come and they serve their 5 years, these crooks. And when they ride off in the sunset, they get all kinds of lovely perks. They even go with the vehicle.
Well,
I'm
while they're
talking
serving,
real.
Mr. Weird, while they're serving, they're accumulating all kind of natural wealth from the country into their pocket.
Also, I'm talking all kinds of package from the taxpayers, Leonard. And I'm talking,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm talking is what's
Mm-hmm.
real, right? What's real, right? And the poor man,
They have
poor
no,
policeman who
they have no
served
shame.
his 25 years, his 30 years, and retire, right? And some of them retires uncomfortably, they serve 20, and some of them retires only command sergeant or only, right, 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because maybe they didn't run on it. They salute to this one and salute and beg that one. That's why they have been last, right? They have been last when promotion time. They don't see them and they are tall. They don't do not exist. Then
And they
the
promote
long serving policeman.
and they promote who they want above the ones that deserve it.
Then promote the yes sir man and how high you want to jump, sir? Do me a leave favor or do me a leave how high, sir, or how much or what you want to sign, right? Or you want to last this reporter for you, or these are the kind of people that get. But anyway, I'm talking real, right? You find the retired BDF, right? Some of them I know, I've worked with, you know, end up, so sad, right? They hustle these people, right? And now there is a law now that, every time, Leonard, you got to go into the social security now to verify that you, right? After I send you on Thule check, right, for your month, and I
Mm-hmm.
send out the next one. Trust me, you have to go in there, go sign some paper to make them see you on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes some of these guys they don't even got credit for call and now they put there now that you have to have internet, you have to go online, you have to do a lot of things online now, right, for you get the next check, that retirement check. Right now, a lot of things they put
That's
these
just
poor people through,
another way of uh,
right?
forcing people not to comply, and then they could turn around and say, "Well, you didn't
Right.
comply with the rules, therefore they could knock you off the system, and they could take your money or whatever was due to you, and they can play all kinds of shenanigan games with it." That's what it's all about.
When a doctor put you off medically unfit here, Leonard, in this country, like I tell you, these public servants, BDF, police, nurses, any public servant they put off medically unfit, they don't just go off like that, and like I tell you, they got to sit on a board, in front
Mm-hmm.
of a board,
I know the process.
right?
I know the
Okay,
process.
for the people out there, for the, who do not know, this is what these people have to go through, right? And if the other one, you know, no like certain things or what, they will deny you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know a couple of officers that they deny, right? Have to go back to work on crutches, right? So sad. And then when one of the minister friend go for one 10,000 or one 20,000 or $2-3 million loan of social security, right away one want to improve their own business and
And get so many million of
yeah,
dollars.
right away. Come on, man. And
That's what
whose
I was.
money?
That's what I was talking about earlier, Mr. Wade. Like
Yes,
preferred people getting first
yes.
dibs, the public treasury, by the authorization of certain other power players, just
Again, Mr.
racketeering.
Prime Minister, Johnny Briseño, do right by your security forces, man. I was once a part of that, and I could see where they are not being treated fairly, right? In all aspects, right? Um, so sad, to see how the the comrade that went down on the helicopter, how the family was treated, right? And the way everything plays out in the court. And I think there is still court action. You know how long that happened? And these people had not been treated fairly. And they died serving, right? They died on duty, right? So sad.
All
So
those, Mr. Wade, Mr. Chairman, all those years that has passed from then until now, those kids needed parental support. Their breadwinner was the one that died. And from then till now, they've been suffering without adequate compensation and or help. And those kids are growing up and they have to be prepared to go to different schools. The family have to be able to have some justifiable way of surviving and meeting their daily needs. And you're going to tell me that the government cannot find itself doing what is right as a government on behalf of those who serve that government? It's pathetic.
So
I yield back,
sad.
Mr. Chairman.
So sad. So I just I just hope and pray that all these families that have been treated unfairly would never give this two-party system a vote. Never, right? If that's the vote that they want to win an election, I hope that they would retain that vote and go to sleep on it or sit on it and never give them that vote, right? That's, that's the only way you could try to get back off these people that does wrong. Because if you carry them to the court, you don't have the poor people do not have that money to get a good attorney, right? So they just take their licking. It's so sad. Go ahead, Leonard.
No, I was looking at our time in there, and I was wondering if maybe I should um, did another reading, but I guess we're gonna run out of time, so we might as well just keep it free flow, no?
So, you know, my people, we deserve better, right? Again, I call on this administration and the Briseño administration. I'm calling on him as the head of this, the leader of this country, to come through with a good plan, for the next meeting, house meeting you have that will benefit the people, right? I'm not the other way around. And I call on you, Mr. Briseño, to come to the nation and tell them exactly when you will start this $91 million state of the art hospital, right? Public knowledge, we see all the shenanigans that happened, how that played out, and how it ended up at the sewer, right? We see how
Mr.
that happened.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a small commentary again,
Go
and that
ahead,
is
sir.
that not even a commentary, just a statement. You asked about that hospital just now. Do you know that some of that money has already been spent? Most people don't believe or understand or realize that the money that was supposed to be spent for the hospital, part of it has been spent in acquiring land for that hospital at that location where they paid that $7 million. When in fact the university had already set aside free lands so that they didn't have to spend that $7 million. But they had an urge to spend that $7 million for nefarious reasons. That's the kind of jackals we're dealing with. I yield back, sir. And if
So,
just another point, a point of order. If they want to know how I know that, they can ask me. Or if they feel like, well, I'm libeling them or I'm saying something that is not like that, or that they can prove me wrong or prove differently, then let them go to the court and embarrass themselves. And at the time we go to court, definitely I would expect to be able to countersue to get some money out of their hide on a personal basis. I wish we can get to a point where when these jackals they commit these kind of crimes against us, we can sue them individually and not their office or the position or the hold behind which they are hiding
so right
as
on that.
officers of the government, and therefore being entitled to being defended by us, the very same taxpayers' money. So we got to fight them against our own cash flow. Okay. I wish that we get to a point where somehow or another they can be personally held liable if and when they do these things, and we can take them to court and they lose the case. That somehow or another others will take caution and will remember that they can also be held personally liable. And that is part of the deterrent that will come about to help us in the absence of UNCAP. I yield back, sir.
and this is about public benefit and public you know a public a statement,
Accountability.
right? Yes, and you see, you know 2 3 years ago, um, we had these serious blackouts. We had this serious blackout in tune to where Johnny Briseño had gotten help from outside entity by grants, by loans from the taxpayers of this country to attacking 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I would have to do a little more research in terms of date, and we see what had happened and how it played out publicly, and what he said he was going to do with the money, and what was needed in the electrical sector, right? To better off the grids and to make things right, and to stop the blackout, and do right, because it's needed. That's 2 3 years ago. All the money, right?
The money is
Did
spent.
anything happen?
The money is spent, disappeared into the black hole.
Just like what you just said right now about that hospital situation, right? Right. Just like what
Hmm.
you said. So I would like to say this through this program and ask, where is the money for that initiative? Lately, they're talking about acquiring, getting more money to do the same thing that was wrong 3 years ago. So obviously, it wasn't done.
Where is the Auditor General's report on those matters?
Obviously, there you go.
We have an Auditor General right now that has been put in place with a 30-year contract far beyond the life of any one administration, and yet we can't get a report. Why are we paying that officer and all the support people in that particular office, and we get no support or no reports, or we can't know from the government's reports what the government is doing? And when we tell them what they're doing, because we happen to find out what they're doing, they get annoyed and they want to claim that we are talking about stuff that we don't know because they expect us not to know. Bunch of jackals. I yield back, sir.
And like I say, the same problem we were having 2 3 years ago, we are still having it. We are still having our blackouts. This
Mm-hmm.
and it's longer now. The other day we had 6 hours, 7 hours of blackout, right? And all the other intermittents, right? You understand?
They don't care because they have um, little small generators that they can start up
So
whenever they need current.
so who
They
suffers,
turn on their
Leonard?
generators, and their generator is being fed by the same gas that comes from the fuel order book. That's another perk that they get. So they get all these different things, and that's why it makes them careless, or they act like they don't care. They don't care if the hospital doesn't have electricity to keep the patients them warm or to perform operations. They don't care if the hospital don't have food to give the patients. They don't care if they don't have gauze to put on the wounds of
Anesthesia.
the people, or anesthesia to give them. They don't care if they don't have you know. And then some of the other heavier drugs that they need, that the people should be having after they have their medical attention, they don't give it to them. It disappears into the black hole.
So sad.
They need to be
We
arrested
we
and sent
we
to jail.
we we getting money from other entities for the same thing every
Over and
year,
over and over.
over
Over
and
and
over
over
and
and
over
over.
again. Back to the healthcare system. Look how many times they acquire money for that CT scan,
Mm-hmm.
right? And publicly too. They care? Do they give a hoot? Hell no, right? And come to the end of the day, the CT scan that came in the country that had cost so much is not a multi-purpose CT scan. Multi-purpose. It's not. A good doctor came, head out, right? May he rest in peace now, and says that he says that the CT scan is not the best. What they are saying and the purpose, what it was for, right? He outlined that publicly, right? So, um, does these people have any goodwill towards humanity? Do they have any will that they want to serve properly or to do the right thing? None of them, past and present, because they keep demonstrating the same thing over and over, right? They keep
They don't care.
bastardizing, right, for their own purpose, right? Who does that? And again, Leonard, it seems like the people likes that. The people like that kind of actions from their leaders, right? So sad,
Mhm.
but anyway, Leonard, you want to do a 5 minutes closing? Uh,
Just a second, sir, if I could find something. I was trying to search for something to close out with, but
look at the the burden at the gas pump that is seems forever burden for the Belizean people that does not carry a fuel order book. A burden, and it keeps going up. Look at the burden on taxes that the poor people has. Look at the burden in the grocery stores. It's a burden. Huh? Look at the burden the parents of this country has to educate their children, when in fact they are preaching about free education. Huh? When it's all baloney, a
it's
trickery,
it's free if you're a friend of the
right?
minister.
Come on.
Because the minister of education has free education to be handed out, free vouchers, but they give them to each constituency minister.
Yeah,
And those ministers are the one that determine who gets it or not.
yeah.
It's not like you can go and apply for it like it used to be in the old days. You apply to the government for a scholarship or some assistance, and you're dealt with on your own merits. No, it's on the basis of political affiliations and friendship.
But look at the word they use, Leonard. Free for all,
Hmm.
right?
And,
Free
and,
for
it's,
all,
and it's not coming out of their pocket, it's coming out
right?
of the treasury.
Which in fact it's a lie. They stand up in the house and they say they help everybody. The word, the good lady, Miss Bali Ramos, says everybody gets a bread basket or a food pantry, and everybody has been helped. That's the word, everybody. And the PUP government helps everybody. Who believe that crap? Huh? But it's just the and it seems that the people they love it, right? So it's so sad, and millions of taxpayers' dollars goes to these efforts, right? They says that the school will have feeding program. The schools. I would like to walk along with the minister and let him show me, the education minister, show me what is free food program and where it's at. Show me where it's at. So be careful the words you all use, man. You should have said, well, there are certain schools, hand-picked schools that we donate money to feed so many children. But don't come and says there's free feeding program. That means a lot, and it's not the right thing to say. And free education, right? The school children has free education. It's not the right thing to say. Okay. So on that note, Leonard, we have uh, 8 more minutes on my side. I don't know what is showing on your side.
Uh, I
Uh,
would say we have probably about 4 more
so go
minutes.
ahead, yeah, go ahead and take
So
2 minutes for your
you
closing,
said
and I will close out with the other 2 minutes.
okay. Um, Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for presenting the program tonight, for chairing the program tonight, and for the points that you brought up. Very salient and important point, very critical in terms of what the country is going through. And it's unfortunate that as Belizean, we see the government rushing to get a second term, was given that second term, but are not rushing to give us the services that we should be getting on the basis of that second term, which means that they should be giving us much better government now, but instead, they're not even giving us any kind of government as it was today. Like all the ministers and the cabinet apparently went on strike or went on some kind of well, I guess maybe they were burnt out after the election and they needed to wait a little while to recover their steps. I don't know what it is. But at the end of the day, the country is just staggering along, like a drunken man, from one side of the street to the next side of the street. And, like you can't keep its footing, solid. We're not having any kind of proper governance in the country. Yet we have a new elected group of people for cabinet and the ministries. And it's just like if we didn't have any at all, much less having a new one. And the days and the weeks and the months are going by. How much days now since we had the general election? How many weeks? How many months? What is it that the government is doing? You can call any of the ministers them and ask them what have they done since they got re-elected. They have nothing to show because we have had no government since then. We have had no budgets. But yet the people are supposed to be like, docile, like I said all the time, and just accept any old wishy-washy behavior on the part of these elected officials. And we're not supposed to complain or say anything because otherwise we're offending them. They feel hurted. They don't feel hurted when they're collecting the salaries or um, and the increase in salaries out of the treasury from which they pressure the populace to give up extra money in taxes. And they're not using those extra money in taxes to do the work of the governance. They just take it onto themselves as salaries and extra benefits. I yield back for the last time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard. It's always a pleasure to sit in your company, my brother. And
The pleasure is mine too, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
a short message to the government again. Your priorities are all wrong. You don't have the right priority. Tend to the public servants. They deserve better. And do right by the people, a nation, right?
Amen.
Um, you're not doing a good job. You have a super majority again. Same thing. What for? Right? Just to benefit yourselves, your friends and cronies, right? Um, so let's see what you will bring to the table, and I hope that when you read the budget, it will benefit all humanity. And like I say, it's always a pleasure, and thanks to those who view us and watch us, and those who support us in terms of texting in. Miss Rubina Forte says good night. Eric Castillo, my brother, good night. Say good night, gentlemen. Truth
Good night,
of
Mr.
the story, Belizean blessed, one love. I
Good
thank
night,
you.
Mr. Castillo. Good night,
Thank
Miss
you.
Miss Rubina Forte.
Yes,
God bless.
God bless. Um, the chairman seems that for tonight did not couldn't make it. So, hopefully that we had filled in, and we know that he had a good program set up, but hopefully that the program that we bring tonight is some beneficiary, Leonard, to the listening public. And it's
Yeah.
always, we try to talk about real issues that are happening in our country. Um, I pray for the killings to stop, and we stop killing out each other, man. Um, be mindful on the highways. Too many traffic accidents, and our condolences to those who have lost their lives to these horrific accidents. Lately seems to be getting more and more and more, right? So be very mindful on the highways. Please. And on that note, I want to say good night.
Good night again
Um,
until Friday.
Thank you for supporting us, and for those who will watch us later, thank you.
Good night, Mr. Wade.
Good
Good
night,
night,
sir.
Belizeans at home and abroad.